Rob McKenzie is on the line to us now from the Road Haulage Association. Rod, the guidance, the new rules, are they clear to you and your members?
They're not clear. It's a 260-page document that needs very, very careful reading. And it's a real challenge for hauliers and traders to prepare for this. It's vital, as Caroline was saying when she was quoting me earlier, that hauliers do prepare. And now is the time, with not long left, to get your heads around this and to employ, customs agents if you need to do that. So it's people involved in the import-export trade. It's hauliers. There is a lot to do and very, very little time. And this applies, remember, if there is a deal or a no deal on Brexit.
How will the technology work? How will it know whether a lorry is crossing the channel or simply driving around Kent? Could that cause confusion?
Well, you should probably be asking the government that rather than me. But what they are saying in this document is that they will use ANPR to check whether the lorry that they've just spotted on the camera has a Kent access permit and is going to the continent, or whether it is a local haulier who's running something from, Tunbridge Wells to Ashford and has no intention of going anywhere near Dover. And, those are the sort of wrinkles the government will have to iron out. And that's a bit of a challenge. We don't know whether the technology will work. It hasn't been tried and tested. It's going to be, I guess, tested in live circumstances. And there may well be mistakes. We just don't know.
We've got a lot of lorry drivers listening to you at the moment. Can you clarify for us what permits lorry drivers will need now?
Right. It's an immensely complicated thing. 62 pages long. There is a whole raft of different forms that need to be filled in, none of which we've had to do to trade with the continent. So I suppose my reassurance to lorry drivers listening to this would be, if you're a local haulier, don't worry. Your boss should sort out your local permit and you'll be fine. If you are an international haulier, you are going to need a Kent access permit and a raft of other documents, which you will either need to carry with you virtually or physically to get onto the ferry. And for that, you are going to need, again, some help and assistance from your management team and other people who work with you, the traders that are effectively your customers.
OK, so just to be clear, domestic lorries will not need one if they're not crossing the channel.
That's our understanding. It was our big worry. We pointed this out to the government in July when they had a first go at issuing this document. And that wasn't clear at all then. And you said it'd be completely wrong to end up finding a haulier who's only doing a local run because they don't have a Kent access permit. That would be crazy. And they sort of nodded a bit at that point. So there is now a line in this 262-page document we think sorts that out. I'll take them at their word until we're proved wrong. So fingers crossed it'll work.
And do you think it's a good system, Rod? Do you think it will work?
Well, it's not a good system in the sense that it's complicated, and we've left very, very little time to get traders and hauliers ready for this massive change in the way that we import and export goods. It's not good in that way. Is it good in the sense that it'll work? Well, we'll have to see. Is it complicated? Yes, it certainly is, and that's not necessarily always a good thing. I think, the proof of this one will be very much in the pudding. But, we've got to get our heads around. Hauliers, traders, everyone have got to get their heads around the fact there is very little time left and an awful lot of work to do to fill these forms out, to get ready. Otherwise, we're looking at a very bad situation in terms of British trade not being able to move. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. I'm hopeful, but we'll have to see.
And finally, what are your main concerns about when the transition period ends in December?
Well, it's a lack of readiness. if you're undertaking a gigantic new IT system, and I do mean gigantic, and indeed several of them, because there are at least 8, and they're all different, we don't know whether they talk to each other. If you're undertaking that sort of IT system, you would normally have literally years of preparation. We haven't had years. We haven't seen the stuff in action. We don't know that it works. We don't know that A talks to B talks to C. So that's our big worry, that the technology lets down the extraordinary amount of paperwork and red tape that will now have to be done.
All right, good to talk to you. We'll talk again, no doubt. Rob McKenzie from the Road Haulage Association, thank you for being with us.